to You by Puffin.
The Secret Lives of Women Spies by Charlotte Philby. Read by Charlotte Philby and Rachel Petladwala.
For those women who hid in the shadows and deserve to stand in the light. Introduction. When I was a child, probably younger than you are now, I had two sets of grandparents. One set lived in Somerset, and on weekends my parents and I would jump in the car after school and drive 3 or so hours from London to see them. We'd eat peanut butter sandwiches and listen to story tapes on the way, our black and white border collie Bryn whimpering on the back seat beside me. It didn't seem particularly strange at the time, but going to visit my dad's father, Kim, or Grandpa Kimsky as I knew him, was not so easy. For one thing, we didn't know his address. Later in my life, my aunt drew me a map on the back of a napkin one lunchtime to try to help me track down my grandfather's apartment in Moscow. By this time, I was working as a newspaper journalist and planning to return to Russia for the first time as an adult, to learn about the man who had become a mystery to me. But we'll get to that. What I did know back in the 1980s, as a kid with a heavy fringe and pink Converse boots, was that Kimsky and his wife lived in a city called Moscow, in Russia. If we wanted to write him a letter, which we did regularly, we would send it from the letterbox at the end of our road in London, addressed to a mailbox in the Central Post Office in Moscow, on a street called Tverskaya. Once a year from when I was just 3 weeks old until Grandpa Kimsky's death when I was 5.5, my mum and dad and I flew to Russia to visit my grandfather and his wife, Rufina, or as we knew her, Rufa. I remember those moments clearly, or maybe I'm remembering the photographs that exist from those days, kept behind plastic sheets in a thick leather album with gold trim. You know how that happens. Sometimes you look at a photo you've seen many times before, and you're not sure if it's the photo you're remembering, or the memory itself. Rufa spoke little English and had bright red hair, which was cut just below her chin. She wore red lipstick and round glasses. Kim was older. On those family trips to Russia, he and my dad played chess for hours on the sofa in the living room, with a pair of musket guns hanging on the wall behind them. As the men played, my mother drank tea and chatted with Rufa's family. I remember the constant swirl of cigarette smoke from the ashtray. I'm sad to say that my dad eventually died of lung cancer, and classical music booming from the record player. I remember snow falling on the school playground, which was visible through the window in my grandfather's study. I remember outings to a playground with carved wooden statues of bears. But on those family holidays, it was the journey from Sheremetyevo Airport, the main airport in Moscow, to my grandfather's flat that has always stuck with me. As the plane touched down, my parents and I, unlike the other passengers, were met by men in grey suits who led us away from the exit and ushered us into a car. From the back seat, they took out a blue light which they secured to the roof. The light was turned on, as was a siren, and we were driven down the motorway at full speed. We were special guests. Because Grandpa Kimsky was both my grandpa and the most infamous spy in history. He was two people at once. On the one hand, Kim Philby was a loving father of 5 who wore a white vest and braces while he played with me. On the other, he was a man who betrayed his country and his friends, and who was responsible for the deaths of countless people. Born in India, where his father was working for the British government, Kim grew up in London, attending the famous Westminster School and then the University of Cambridge. His friends from this time remember him as charming and sometimes shy. A handsome young man, Kim Philby was a typical upper-class Englishman, well-connected with friends in high places, and this was precisely how he became a double agent. While studying at Cambridge, Kim was one of a number of students who became interested in...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?